Just going to redo the video that I did yesterday. I was having a fair few audio issues, so I'm using the laptop today, so hopefully we've fixed those up. Today I'm going to talk about how the conditioning that we go through, I explained earlier in an earlier video how we're born into our bodies, and that creates an original fear of not knowing who we are. We don't know where we've come from. We've just arrived here, and that's scary. We don't know that. It's not a conscious thing. It's just that's what it is. Then we go through a process of conditioning through taking on patterns from other people, our parents, society, whatever, and this starts the process of building our map and our blueprint of the world. I was actually chatting to Lee, who's on this group, about it, and he noted to me, which I agree with totally, that all of the patterns we take on as human beings are not current. They're not something that happens in the present moment. They happen in the present moment, but the patterns are set up generationally through, if you just think about the last 100 years of world wars and famine and depression, great depressions, and now coronavirus, and all of these different things create this fear amongst the collective, and they're the patterns that get passed on. They would have started way back when and got passed on to their children, and then you just pass down the line. So any of this conditioning and patterning that we pick up, it's not you, it's not personal to you, and that's the problem we have, because we personalize it. That's just how we see it. We come into this world, don't know who we are, start picking up these patterns that are getting reflected to us from the outside, and we personalize them. We say, well, this must be me. I don't know any other way, so this must be me. These must be just the way it is. So that blueprint gets built up over time. We start, the outside world reflects to us who we are. If you can imagine, as a child doing something, you have no idea, it's not good or bad, or there's no intention to be good or bad, it just is. You just do it, and you get this reaction from your parents. If it's a loving reaction, that feels wonderful. You'll probably do it again, and that's laid down in your blueprint. That's what I meant to do. And then if it's bad or horrible or feels uncomfortable in the body, you think, well, that must be me. I don't want to operate like that. That feels uncomfortable, so I'll do something else. And this is how our whole world is outward focused. Everything is reflected back to us. So we have this cause and effect thing going on, where if I do this, then I feel that. And that's how we map out our life. If I feel good doing that, I'll keep doing that, even though it may not be 100% true or right for you. That's just the way we do it. This starts early on in life, and babies crying for food, and hopefully they get food straight away, and they feel the discomfort of being hungry, and then the parents attend to them and give them food, and then their nervous system calms down, they feel okay again. And then that's about all you have to deal with as a kid. There's certain things, food, and you've wet your nappy and whatever. But then as you get older and older and life becomes more and more complicated, we start still applying this cause and effect way of living to our life. So as you're at school, you want to fit in with your friends, so you do whatever you need to do to fulfill the need, and again, depending on how that feels is how you will react. If it feels good, you will keep doing it. If it feels uncomfortable or bad, as we say, you'll stop doing it. You'll modify your natural behavior to fit in with that. And this lays down in our brain, lays the blueprint down of how we are supposed to operate in the world, and it's reflected back to us from the outside world. So if you can imagine going through your life and you have this idea, this thought about that's how I'm meant to do it, it's not true necessarily. It's just a thought. It's just a way to deal with the emotion of what you experienced in that moment. We don't know what emotions are at that age. It's all subconscious. So we keep going, we keep doing these things, but they're all stories in our mind. They're not actually true. We just did something and then got the feedback, and then we made up a story in our mind. That feels good, or that feels right, or whatever the story is. You lay that down in your brain, that becomes your subconscious. So next time you react, your mind's already looking for validation of that. I did it and I felt the same way, that must be true, or your mind will tell you that's true. Um, and we do this with our jobs, our partners, our kids, going through getting this feedback all the time. And if you can imagine having all these stories in your mind about how to act with this person, how to act with that person, how to act with your parents, with your partner, with, there are all these different stories going on in your mind of how you're meant to be, how life should be. You can imagine when you get, well, for me, I was 40 when I was this unhappy guy. We're trying to manage all these balls in the air. I'm trying to be a good person. I'm trying to do what I think you need to do in order to feel love, to get that base need as a human being of significance or certainty or whatever. But I'm not necessarily acting to my truth. And the problem with acting true in your truth or out of your truth is that it's all energy. So if you think of yourself as a battery, and takes a certain amount of energy to keep a story going in your mind, and if you've got a bit of your energy going to this story for that person to maintain that, and a bit of energy going to this person to maintain that, and you've got all these balls in the air and all this energy going out to try to manage and control the outside world to fit what should be in your mind, so that eventually you can feel loved, significant, have certainty in your life. You can start to see how all of that energy, and it's an anxious, nervous energy, that I need it to be this way in order to feel safe. I need it to be that way in order to feel love from that person. I need it to be this way at work to feel significant. And all of that energy is just being sucked out of your life force. And it actually starts to close your heart, because you're not doing this out of love. You're doing it out of fear. And the original fear that was set up when you were born into this body, and the fear of not knowing who you are, and the fear of using the outside world to make you feel okay inside, all of that fear starts to close down your heart. You are not doing this out of love. You're doing it out of a need to feel okay, to feel safe. But the minute you can realize that that doesn't work, and life will show you that anyway, because eventually your system will just bog down so much, or it'll just be in this mad, frantic state, trying to manage your whole life, trying to control everything outside of you to make you feel good inside. You'll eventually, system will crash, and that's what a midlife crisis is, or a meltdown, or a burnout, or something horrible will happen. You end up having an accident, or your marriage breaks down, whatever. Something will show you that you need to start to look for your truth, because you can't keep going that way. You just energetically can't keep doing that. So that energy of love and being open-hearted and living from your truth starts when you can start to look at the patterns of behavior in your life and start to see which ones are based in fear and which ones are true to you. And you're going to get a gauge on that based on your emotions and how you're feeling. Again, life comes down to feeling, and we're not taught this, but you need to feel your way through life. And that's why, you always hear it, I need to listen to my gut, or go with a gut feeling, or whatever. We all say it, but we don't actually know what that means most of the time. But you have an inbuilt guidance system showing you exactly what you need to do in every moment of your day, if you know the awareness and the skills to listen to that and to tune into that. So any condition created under fear, which is subconscious, is going to draw down your energy. And this shows up as pain and suffering and frustration and anger in your life. And if you feel frustrated, angry, that's what it is. It's because there is a condition in your life that is not being met, and it's out of fear, and life is trying to show you that you are living in fear and you are trying to control the outside world so that you feel okay. But life wants you to know that you actually are okay. You are whole and complete and perfect, and you don't need to do anything to feel any outside validation. You can generate love within, you can generate certainty within, you can generate significance within. All of these things you can generate within, and that's the purpose of your life, is to find that. Um, the outer purpose, the outside, what you're meant to do in the world will come on the back of finding yourself. First, you need to find yourself and live with truth and passion, and then you'll definitely have the energy to go out into the world and do what it is that you were meant to do, what you were here to do. Um, but these conditions that are set up, there's a spectrum of these things, that right from shame, deep shame, which is the lowest vibration energy, which really cruels someone's life. I had a lot of shame in my childhood. Grew up with a mother. My parents divorced, and my mother was very controlling, and she really was critical and judgmental. And every time I tried to step out to be me, there was some sort of criticism, judgment. So you end up shutting down because you've realised, oh, well, I need love from my mum. That you just know you want love from your mum. We all want love. And to get that, I need to do what she wants me to do in order for her to open her heart to me. So subconsciously, you start changing who you are just so you can feel love. And you need that for survival. You can't take care of yourself as a child. So you start to modify your behaviour. And for me, in doing all of that, I had a deep sense of shame about who I was, that I wasn't a good enough person. Just me being me wasn't good enough. So I had this deep sense of shame in me for my whole life. And this plays out. You can see if you start bending and flexing your whole life, you're trying to be a good person. You're trying to get love. You're trying to do what other people need because you think you need outside validation to feel whole and complete, because you don't know that actually you are divine. You come from love. Um, so so for me, my marriage started to fall apart because the pattern I saw as an early child was relationships, don't stay together, and I needed to bend and flex and do whatever my wife wanted me to do in order for her to love me. But the flip side of that is that you build up resentment and anger and frustration because internally you know you're not being true to who you are. Um, so you keep operating in ways that are detrimental to you and your sense of self-worth, self-love. Um, so that sense of shame it's not you. It originally started with a parent who wasn't emotionally attuned. They didn't know who they were, so they couldn't then allow you to be who you are. And this is just how the human experience works. Which is why I'm so passionate about teaching this stuff, because I've come from a split family. I've had a tough upbringing. I've had addiction. I've had relationship failures. I've been stuck in a career for years and years and years, desperately unhappy with what I was doing. And all of it was out of fear of not being loved, fear of being judged, fear of not being a decent enough person. So I'm passionate about finding out who I truly am so that I don't pass this on to my kids. I've got two beautiful kids and a wife that I love, and I don't want to replicate what I took on. And that's not me, and I personalised it for a lot of years, but it's not personal to me. It was the patterning I took on, and now I feel strong enough to take that patterning, which is painful, but I'm going to transmute it into love and remove those templates and remove that patterning from the planet so that my kids don't have to endure it and don't have to pass it on. That's why we're all doing the work we're doing, is to wake up to these patterns of frustration and pain in our lives so that we can not pass it on, but we can be self-responsible and transmute that energy of shame and guilt and not good enough into love and into passion and into joy, and pass that on to our kids so that they can then that's the legacy that we can leave for them, so they can change the course of the planet. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today, guys, and hopefully you got something out of this. And tomorrow I'm going to talk a bit about how to break out of this subconscious patterning and how to recognize it in yourself and how to work your way to freedom. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.